if you're anything like us, you're constantly on the hunt for new games to try out. And this week we are talking about teach as you go games, teach as you play games, games that you can teach while you're playing them.
Can you say that a fourth way, Doug?
Yeah, without an elaborate rules teach before the game begins. How'd you do on this list, Michael?
Great.
Crushed
it.
Hard?
Yeah, it was. It was difficult to cut it down to 5. I actually went through my own collection a few different times and looked at a few lists online, looked at a few different... on Board Game Geek, you can track the games that you've played, so looked at games I've played with my kids. It was a fun little list to put together.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I tried to do, which was hard, is a lot of times there's a lot of card games and simple games that I wanted to say, okay, what's something that's more... quote, advanced.
Well, I put 3 card games on my list.
No, and
so.
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of them that I left off of my list that were like that just because I was trying to push, like, well, what's kind of a deeper game that you can play that the rules can kind of unfold as you go.
And thank you for giving me permission to put my own games on my list. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I do what I can.
All right.
What's your number 5?
Number 5 is by the good Dr. Rainer Knizia, 1999, Schattentaten. It is a 2-player only game. I want to be very clear on that. 20 minutes, ages 8+, which I concur. 1.73 out of 5 on the complexity. And in Schattentaten, you are playing cards down in sets or runs to try to win a little part of a wall. And if you get 3 in a row, you win, or if you win the majority, you win. We've talked about it on a few other lists in the past. It plays fast. It also goes by, as any Dr. Rainer Knizia game, it has several different names. 10
different names.
But Schattentaten is released in North America by Yellow, IELLO. Great little game for $15, $20 that you can take with you. And one that my wife and I enjoy playing, my eldest child and I enjoy playing. So that's my number 5, Schattentaten.
Yep, that is a classic. I love that game. The pressure and tension in that game is off the charts. My number 5 we talked about in episode 1, which is Marvel United, published in 2020. Andrea Cerevesio, Eric M. Lang. Come on, Spin Master. 1 to 4 players in 40 minutes. This is a cooperative game in the Marvel universe, and the way that it works is that you are playing cards down, and you take the action on your card, and you play the action on the card that
like a little storyline
your friend played before you. And so you can play this game without knowing only one person, and I'm assuming I went with the list with the idea that you're the one that knows the game, and you can play.
Teaching it, yeah.
So somebody needs to know the game, right? But you can play this one without letting everybody know exactly how every detail works. Just play one of the cards from your hand, and then we'll resolve the actions, and you can kind of go. And with all of these games, any game that has a teach-as-you-go kind of philosophy, you can play it through the first time, and then you're going to really dive in the second time, right? It's not going to be everybody's going to know immediately how everything works. It's just you are able to play it one time through kind of a training game without rules overhead and rules overload. And I like this as it's cooperative, and really all you need to tell the person to do is play a card down, and we'll see what happens.
Each character has slightly different abilities and strengths that are true to their theme, which is also great. And like you said, episode 1, we talked about it at length. The games that are on our list seem to be perfect for that person who you just start to teach the rules, and you're like 3 sentences in, and you're about ready to tell them, can we just play? Can we just play?
I'll pick it up when we go.
Yeah, I'll get it as we go. Obviously, you and I both know people like that. But these games fit that, right?
Oh, really? You're going to read Appendix Z? I don't think so. I already did.
No kidding.
Let's keep going.
This is my 3rd time reading it today. Sit down and be quiet. I took a lot of time to learn the rules. But number 4 is a perfect learn-as-you-go game. We talked about it at length on episode 29. It's Phil Walker Harding's Silver and Gold from 2019. Seems to be a theme with a lot of the games on my list. 2 to 4 players, 20 minutes. 8 years old and up, you're good to go with this. 1.18 out of 5 on the complexity scale, so just slightly higher than Patty Cake or Bingo, but with so much more fun, because listen to what you do in Silver and Gold. It's a flip and right, so cards will get flipped out onto the table in Tetris shapes. You'll get the 3 cubes in a row, or the 3 cube with the 1 in the middle, or the L shape. And then you have these little cards in front of you that you are writing down the shape that was just flipped up. And then once your card is completed, you announce to the table, I completed a card, and you pick a new card from the marketplace. And there are also these little bonuses on the card. Just played the game recently this weekend with my family. We play it all the time. 3-4 times a month we're playing Silver and Gold. Why are you laughing?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. But that's number 4 for me on the list is Silver and Gold. And a game that you introduced our family to. So thank you for that, Doug.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it. My number 4, it's funny that you say bingo or patty cake. My number 4 is Rise of Augustus, which is essentially kind of gamer's bingo.
Yeah.
Somebody is drawing tokens out of a bag, and then you've got 3 cards in front of you that you're putting your little legionnaires on and trying to fill up the card. And when you fill up the card, it's complete and you get a new one. It's really just like bingo.
Yeah.
And that with a Roman theme on it. This was reprinted as Via Magica, which I think is more widely available now. Rise of Augustus may have disappeared. You may have more trouble finding a copy of that.
It's still around. It's out there. I see it.
Published in 2013. Paulo Mori is the designer. Hurricane is the publisher. 2 to 6 players, 30 minutes. You can get up and running with this in no time. And again, one of those where you play it once.
Probably
now everybody's
easier. Probably easier to play while you teach than going over the whole rules with that one, don't you think?
Yeah.
Almost like, here are the basics of the game. We're going to play.
Are you familiar with bingo?
Yeah.
Let's go. And it's a great game. So
good.
That's my number 4, Rise of Augustus.
Awesome. Number 3, 2019, Point Salad. Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stankovich. It is published by AEG, Alderock Entertainment Group. 2 to 6 players. 15 to 30 minutes, ages 8+, which I think this is one where you can go down to 6 if you've got if you play games
no
often.
reading in this one.
No. Well, you need to know your numbers. 1.16 out of 5 on the complexity. It is a game where you are picking a card on each turn, and one side can be used for scoring, the other side can be used in your set collection as a veggie, as a vegetable. Yep. We talked all about this back in episode 6 of the Game Schooler podcast. Just a fantastic little card game. Okay, Doug, my card games are out of the way. I got them all. Yeah, 5, 4, and 3. But those three that I certainly love to play with my family, and I think they all fit in the game schooling setting as well.
All right, my number 3 is Tokaido, published in 2012. Designer is Antoine Bauza. Funforge is the publisher. 2 to 5 players, 45 minutes. This is a very calm and relaxing game about...
It's too chill for me.
Traveling through the Japanese countryside. And as you stop, the only thing you really need to teach the players is that whoever's furthest behind makes the next move. Right. And there's actions that happen at each space that you stop at. But each space it's not like, oh, well, you need to go here and then go here. It's almost like let it unfold.
Yeah. But the one rule that you want to tell people, just talking from lived experience, if you're playing with a gamer who's like me, hyper aggressive and always in a race to get to the end first, you want to let them know that being in first might mean that you have to sit for a very long time. Because if you jump ahead 6 spaces, that means for the next 5 spaces, somebody else can just come in and take their turn.
Mosey on through. But hey, it's always good to get to the eating place.
Same designer as Seven Wonders.
Yeah. So it's broken up into like 3 sections, and eventually you get to a rest stop where you have a nice meal. And like I said, each space you land on, you get an extra bonus. But there's not too much overhead as far as what those bonuses are. You can just kind of play it arbitrary the first round through. So that is my number 3, Tokaido.
Oh, that's great. Doug, I've been waiting for almost an hour to tell you about number 2. So Doug provided me with a few games to take home after last week to review with my family. And we have a new family favorite, 2014's Outfoxed. And I was going to talk about it in the opening segment, but as soon as Doug talked about doing Concept Kids with Molly, I thought, I'm not going to jump in there and be that guy that tries to, but playing Outfoxed, there were more yes over the weekend, this is a game that we have found that hits that sweet spot for where my 6-year-old is in the world right now. In Outfox, there is a fox who has stolen the pot pie and is trying to make its way back to the foxhole.
Classic pot pie fox story.
Yep. And you cannot let that fox get to the pie hole.
Pothole.
The pothole. Pothole.
The
foxhole.
The sewer.
So
he goes out the sewer hole.
What's great about Outfoxed, before your turn, before you roll these 3 little dice, you have to say what you are going to do. Are you going to try to reveal suspects, or are you going to move and look for clues? And you chuck your dice and you take your action. And Eliza and I picked it up right away. For some reason, my wife had to do a thorough review of the rules and was yelling at me that she didn't get it. So I'm maybe if you have adults who need to know the exact ins and outs of every rule before you play, not so much. But for me and my 6-year-old, it's one we just got to the table, opened up, and started to play. So number 2, big thank you, Doug, to that. I think it'll be reviewed here shortly, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
2 to 4 players, game right, 20 minutes, ages 5+. But Board Game Geek, this is one of those 4 to 10. I do think it has a ceiling, and we played it with Eliza's 9-year-old sister, and I think she was right at the end of that ceiling. So it's a 4-year-old to 10 and 1.13 out of 5.
Yeah, there's certainly some great tension in that game where you call out you're going to go clues, and you have 3 rolls. All 3 dice have to be of the same symbol in order to actually take the action. And so there's that tension there of I'm going for clues, and then the spyglasses come up, or the eyeballs come up, which is the suspect one.
Suspects, and then you got to move the fox closer.
Roll again. Oh, you're getting closer. One more roll, and then you get bummed out when you don't get it, and elated when you do. So great game there. It's, my family has really enjoyed that for a long time. My number 2 is the Unlock series. This is published. The original was published in 2017. Cyril Demeg. Space Cowboys, 1 to 6 players, 60 minutes. So this is an app-driven game, an escape room and a box style game. But as long as one person knows the rules, you're ready to just dive in because you're looking at cards, looking for hidden numbers, hidden symbols, trying to combine things together. I've got a key and you've got a door. Let's put those together. So you don't really have a bunch of rules overhead, and they've got there's probably 15 or 20 of them out now.
At least.
Of different genres. I mean, there's a Star Wars one. There's Sherlock Holmes. There's a whole bunch of different themes in this. So
we have an Egypt one, I believe. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. We're going to make it. So that's Unlock. Just a great simple game. I've loved playing that with different groups and 2 and up to 4 players. Fun game.
You know, for the record, you're supposed to cough away from people. I don't know if you were trying to protect your tech that you have over there.
Yeah, I was.
All right,
my computer is more valuable than you, Michael.
Thank you. That's good. Number 1, also a 2019 release. We talked about this. It was covered, our recommended game of the week, back in episode 13. This is Tiny Towns. Peter McPherson designed it. Alderock Entertainment Group, AEG, published it. And this plays 1 to 6 players, 45 to 60 minutes. The Board Game Geek community says 14, or I'm sorry, the 14 plus is what it says on the box. The Board Game Geek community says 10 plus. And for us and our family, it's right in the middle of that. The complexity is 2.07 out of 5. In Tiny Towns, you are placing cubes down on the cubes represent little buildings and structures down on your board, and then once you have completed a church or a well, you take that and you grab a church or a well from a common area, and then you put that down on your board, and it replaces where you had been building it. Here's where this works. I kind of took a shot at my wife with Outfox to number 2, but I have watched, anybody who's listened to this podcast knows my wife's an art teacher, and I think she's a fantastic art teacher, but I've watched her teach Tiny Towns in a way that I'm unable to teach games, where she gets the box to the table, and she takes the lid out, and she just kind of shows off the pieces, and she'll just hand out each board, and she'll set up the game, and all of a sudden we just start playing. Without any explanation. We'll just be right. And I'm like, Em, what are we doing? Are we in the first phase? Just settle down. So you're going to take this and you're going to put this on your board. All right. and then it's your turn. Go ahead, call one out. Which one are we picking next? Good. And before you know it, we're playing the full game. It's just unbelievable at how that game can be picked up so rapidly with very little explanation. Get some cubes and you put them down and you start building structures. So that's my number one game that can be taught while being played, Tiny Towns.
Awesome. That's a great game and really, really a good top spot for this list. My number one is For Sale. Published in 1997. The designer is Stefan Dora from Eagle Griffin Games. 3 to 6 players, 30 minutes. This is so simple. You almost have to play it while you teach it, which is there are 2 halves to the game. The first one, everybody's got money and you are auctioning off properties. The property, the real estate is valued from 1 to 30. Here's the first half of the game. You just auction off the properties. That's it. I've already taught you the game. Then when you have all those properties in the second hand, you are going to be flipping over check cards with dollar amounts on them, and you are going to be submitting one of your properties. And then if you submitted the highest property, you're going to take the highest value check. Whoever submitted the lowest is going to take the lowest value check. You do that until you get rid of all of your properties, and whoever has the most money at the end wins. It's so simple. You don't. I just taught this at the.
You just taught it to our listeners who are driving right now. They know how to play.
Yeah, but we taught it. We played it this past week at the game
Schooler Review.
Yeah, the Game Schooler
Review. Working on our branding with that.
KotekiCon, 2022. We played it there, and it was just. That was the concept.
Great.
Like, what do we do next? Don't worry about what we do next. This is what we're doing now.
You started that as the first game. It was such a great warm-up of, oh, man, I just got to play an awesome game. you know, it's so fun.
And so this was actually, there's a newer version called For Sale Autorama that does a similar thing with cars. It adds one extra little step in there.
Autorama?
Autorama, yeah. For Sale Autorama. But the original is still available as well. And so that is my number one teach as you play games. So that is our high five list. Before we head out the door, we want to remind you to subscribe to our podcast if you're not already subscribed. And to follow us on social media, our handle is @GameSchoolerU for both Facebook and Twitter. You can find us there. Again, check out our website, GameSchooler.com. We've got our recommended games, other teaching materials, our videos, everything is on there to check that out. And if you have any questions or comments, again, email us at email@GameSchooler.com. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We appreciate it very much.
Now get out there and keep game schooling.